Hey, what's up, everyone? This is James from SIBO-Stress Free. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm going to unpack a concept that I like to call the SIBO-Stress Conundrum. And this is especially relevant for those of you who have been suffering with SIBO for years and years on end. You've gone through repeat cycles of taking antibiotics, trying to address the overgrowth that's going on in your body, but you continue to relapse. SIBO continues to recur and you can't seem to dig out of this hole. So I'm going to start by digging into three challenges that impact, people that have what I'm going to call here long SIBO, right? With a nod towards this term of long COVID, right? And this is for people who have had SIBO for years and years. And the three challenges, the first one you're already very familiar with, which is the overgrowth. You've got an overgrowth of bacteria or methanogens or fungus that are in your body that are causing you issues. So, whether we're talking hydrogen, methane, hydrogen sulfide, or SIFO, this is one of your challenges. The second challenge really comes from the fact that you've been trying for so long to get better and you've seen marginal or really no improvement over time. You end up with some SIBO-related stress and anxiety. And the third challenge really stems from that, which is having poor vagal tone or just poor functioning of the vagus nerve in general. So let's unpack each of these and see what's really going on here. So if we start with the first challenge, which is the overgrowth. I'm probably not going to tell you anything that you don't already know here, but having an overgrowth of organisms in your small intestine causes a lot of issues. Some of those issues, these organisms are stealing nutrients. So you've got some nutrient deficiencies with iron, with vitamins, right, which can lead to low energy, anemia, fatigue, weakness. You've also got the production of gas. So that's going to give you bloating, which gives you pain and discomfort, which leads to, some of the diarrhea and constipation that we end up dealing with. We've got leaky gut, right? The integrity of that intestinal wall has been compromised. And so things are flowing through that, getting out into your body and out into your bloodstream that aren't supposed to be there. So from this, you're getting food sensitivities and allergies, right? All of the stuff with histamines that we're talking about. And we've also got toxins, right? Some of the toxins are byproducts of the bacteria that are in your gut. And these end up circulating through your body and creating some of the neurological, right? The brain issues, the brain fog. That's kind of a hallmark of SIBO. This was the most disconcerting thing for me was brain fog, was having poor memory, poor recollection, poor ability to, find those words in the moment that I wanted to find, feeling like my speech was even a little bit slurred or that my hands weren't quite as, finely tuned as I was accustomed to them being. This really freaked me out, right? And it was a long time before I even realized that brain fog was one of the symptoms of SIBO. I thought it was something else. So we end up with a whole host of problems, and we could go on and on, right? This isn't all inclusive, but when you're dealing with these types of issues and how intrusive and disruptive they are in your life, over the course of years, this inevitably turns into some chronic stress and anxiety. Right? Because when you go to the bathroom, you never know what to expect from your bowel movements, right? You've been following a restrictive diet. There's so many things that you can't eat anymore. And you've probably even rotated through from diet to diet, trying to find something that reduces the impact of your symptoms. So there's an impact in terms of the way that you're eating, but then that ends up impacting your family, right? And you've got some feelings about that. Some of the favorite things that you used to cook or go out and eat, and pizza and lasagna and these types of things, they go out the window, right? And you can't eat them anymore. For me, I ended up with some food sensitivities to eggs and to gluten, and I had to cut those out for more than a year, right? Which totally changed the entire way that my family ate. This impacts your ability to socialize, right? Going out to restaurants just isn't as fun anymore if you're wondering like what you can eat and hoping that they have one item on the menu that's going to be appropriate for you, and not really having an understanding of everything that's going into the sauces and other things that might end up setting you off. It's just not fun, right? It also impacts your ability to enjoy being with friends and family. Potlucks, family get-togethers, you've always got to have a special meal that you're bringing or someone's cooking for you. You're constantly getting the questions of, can you eat this? How are you feeling? Are you getting any better? And it just kind of taints the whole experience because it's like SIBO is always there, right? It's like a ghastly shadow next to you that everyone always notices and everyone always talks about. So we've got all of these impacts. There's just generally like the pain and discomfort. I know that this is extreme for a lot of you and it gets in the way, right? And then with the pain and the discomfort and not necessarily understanding why this is all going on, what it is, and how long it's going to last and how I'm going to get better, right? This can end up impacting work and job performance. I meant to add too here, there's also an impact to intimacy. When you're feeling rotten in your body, right? When you're burping, when you've got gas in your belly, you don't necessarily want to be intimate with someone, right? But cutting this out of your life or significantly reducing it from where it was before can really impact you, really impacts you emotionally, and it impacts the relationship that you have. All of this impacts your ability to simply be present with yourself, with your kids, with your partner, with work, to enjoy life, to not be distracted all the time, wondering what you're going to eat, what you need to buy, how you're going to feel, how you're going to be able to sleep tonight, right? So then we end up seeing a lot of worry over how things are going to be, right? And this is just all of the impact in your life. Then we can get into all of the, like the frustration and the disappointment that you feel with the medical establishment and the response that you've gotten from doctors and how hard it's been to get tests or how hard it's been to get clarity, or some of the recommendations that doctors made that now looking back on it, you wish you hadn't done those things. There's a lot of feels that end up coming out of this. And we could keep going here longer and longer and longer because SIBO comes in like a bull in a china shop and just turns your whole life upside down. So if you've been dealing with it for years, undoubtedly you've experienced a lot of chronic stress and anxiety. And this has the unfortunate side effect of decreasing vagal tone, right? Or the function of your vagus nerve, which your vagus nerve, if you're not familiar with it, pretty much is your gut-brain connection. And it's responsible for stimulating healthy digestion, as well as motility. So when your vagal tone is poor, digestion is impaired and motility is impaired. And one of the main things that impacts vagal tone in a negative way is chronic stress. There's other things that impact it too. It can be infections, it can be trauma, it can be surgery, it can be a whole number of things. But one of the things that's known to impact it is chronic stress. To be able to digest, to have good motility, you need to be in a parasympathetic state, right? That parasympathetic nervous system needs to be activated so that you're in your rest, digest, and heal state. When you've got so much of this going on and it's in your face every day, it's very easily to end up in a chronically stressed situation where you're in an activated stress response. Your sympathetic nervous system is activated. So you're in fight, flight, or freeze, and your digestion and your motility are both deprioritized until some later time. The challenge is that with chronic stress, that later time never really comes. And your vagus nerve and poor vagal tone has a tremendous number of impacts on other parts of your body because the vagus nerve is connected to just about every major organ. So you end up with an even broader constellation of symptoms to deal with now. It's not just the overgrowth. Now you've got all sorts of things going on that might be more immunological in nature. They might be more cognitive in nature. It might have something to do with your heart because the vagus nerve is connected to all of these organs. And then you can start to spiral, right? And so this can feed back and create some additional stress with these new symptoms. But, now to come full circle on this SIBO-Stress Conundrum, we've got overgrowth, which over time creates stress, which over time depresses your vagal tone. And we know that when vagal tone's down, digestion's down, and motility's down, which is going to create the conditions for overgrowth. So what do we do with all of this? Well, I want to call out one of the main mistakes that most people make, right? And the mistake is this. It's thinking that if you break a link, you'll break the chain. And so what that typically means is let's knock out the overgrowth. And if we knock out the overgrowth, that's the problem, right? Everything will heal and everything will return to normal. So we think that if the overgrowth goes away, then things are going to get better. I won't have the stress and anxiety. My vagus, nerve is going to return and everything's going to work like normal. But I challenge that because we see so much relapse and so much recurrence, right? To me, this is more of a spider web than it is a chain. And I'm sure all of you have seen spider webs at some point in your life. And if you recall, when a spider web gets a tear in it, something falls through it, or someone messes with it, or an animal runs through it, that hole doesn't stay there. That spider runs out and puts that web back together. So when we tackle overgrowth, if there's still a lot of stress and anxiety in your life, if your vagal tone is still poor, right, these things are going to feed back in the conditions that promote overgrowth, right? And this may be one of the reasons that it's so difficult to get out of the cycle. So this is why I call it the SIBO-Stress Conundrum, right? But if we change our mental model of the problem away from this being a chain, where if I break one link, then everything else will fall to a web, then it begs for a different solution, right? And so that different solution is what I call the SIBO Holistic Recovery Plan, right? Which basically has 4 points to it. So the SIBO Holistic Recovery Plan. It says that we need to attend to the vagus nerve. We also need to attend to the gut. And we also need to attend to our inner and our outer world. Because it's the inner and outer world that create so much of the stress in your life. Yes, there's the stress of having SIBO. Yes, there's the stress of going into work. Yes, there's the stress of your relationship with your boss or your partner or your parents. But the majority of the stress that we end up feeling, especially when we're chronically stressed, is self-induced. So the inner world, right, is your thoughts, your beliefs, your attitudes, your fears, your expectations, all of these things that you bring to life situations oftentimes serve to create additional stress around situations that doesn't need to be there. That's something that can be worked on. Your outer world is primarily the environments that you're spending your time in, the situations that you find yourself in, and the relationships that you have in your life. And that outer environment can serve to soothe your nervous system and help you to do work on improving your vagal tone, or your outer world can serve to stress you out even more. So there's a tremendous amount that can be done here and here to reduce the stress in your life. And as you reduce the stress in your life, right, that has a positive impact on the functioning of your vagus nerve. So that's going to improve digestion. It's going to improve motility. It's going to improve your ability to heal and to rest, and a whole host of other things, right? Because the vagus nerve is connected to just about every major organ in your body. And as your motility and your digestion and your ability to heal all improve, all of that's going to pay dividends in your gut. So addressing the overgrowth is good, right? That's something that needs to be done, but we need to make sure that the conditions of the entire system are also on par with what we're trying to accomplish in our gut. So Again, the SIBO Holistic Recovery Plan includes working on all four of these areas. You likely, if you've been stuck with SIBO for years and years, have been really, really focused. Probably 90% of your time has been focused on, the overgrowth, diets, and prescriptions and supplements. And if that's where 90% of your effort is going, then it's not flowing into these other areas that are going to support your body's natural ability to heal and to help get you out of SIBO. So I think this is a good place to stop for the day. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that this model has been helpful and offered you something new in terms of understanding your journey with SIBO. If you've got any questions, let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you again soon. Have a great day.